In this video, I will show you how to replace the engine start-stop button in this 4th generation Kia Sportage. This button is built into the center panel that houses the climate control module, so you will have to remove this panel before you can access the engine start-stop button. Before you begin, make sure the vehicle is turned off and for safety reasons disconnect the negative terminal of the battery. Start by loosening the upper cover of the center console. This is the trim piece that surrounds the gear shifter and extends towards the dashboard. You don't need to remove this cover all the way, just lift it slightly so we can create enough space to work with the long trim piece above it. To begin, place your fingers along the edge of the upper console trim right next to the armrest area. This is the easiest spot to get a good grip. Now apply firm upward pressure. Don't be afraid to use a little force. This panel is held in place with plastic clips only. As you pull upward, you'll hear those clips popping loose one by one. That sound is normal and it means the panel is starting to separate. Keep working your way forward along the edges of the trim piece. Apply steady, even pressure as you go, lifting carefully to avoid cracking the plastic. With the center console cover lifted, we are ready to move on to the next step, removing the dash trim to access the climate control module and the engine start-stop button. Now let's move over to the passenger side of the dashboard. We will have to remove this side panel near the passenger door. This panel plays an important role. It hides a screw that secures the long trim piece. Look carefully and you will notice a tiny notch or opening along the seam. This is your entry point to remove the side panel. Before taking off the panel, start by pulling back the rubber weather strip along the door frame. Hold the edge of the seal near the dashboard and gently peel it away, just far enough to reveal the side of the panel. This extra space will let you unclip the panel easily without the weather strip getting in the way. Now grab a plastic trim removal tool or a flathead screwdriver. Insert it gently into the notch and begin prying outward. The panel is held in place by plastic clips only. With the cover removed, you will now see a single Phillips head screw near the upper edge of the dashboard. This screw helps hold the long trim piece. Use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the screw. Now we are ready to remove the long trim piece. Even with the screw out, this trim is still held in place by several plastic clips. On the side of the trim, you will notice 2 clips. Insert a plastic trim removal tool and gently pry outward to release the clips. Once both side clips are free, continue along the rest of the trim, carefully releasing each remaining clip until the entire dashboard trim comes off. Once all clips are disengaged, the long dashboard trim will come free. Carefully set it aside. After removing the panel, you will see 3 screws holding the center panel in place. You cannot remove this panel yet. There is one more screw that you will have to remove and it's hidden behind this panel under the steering wheel. So you will need to remove this panel as well. It's held in place by 4 screws in total and only one of them is visible. Start by locating the visible screw near the bottom left corner of the panel, just above the footrest area. Grab a Phillips head screwdriver and remove that screw first. Now the other 3 screws are hidden. To reach them, we will need to remove the crash pad side cover. That's the small trim piece located on the side of the dashboard, right where the dashboard meets the driver door. Look at the edge of the panel for a small rectangular indentation or slot on the trim panel. That's your access point. Before taking off the panel, pull back the rubber weather strip that runs along the door frame. Pull it back just far enough to expose the edge of the panel, giving you the clearance needed to remove it without the weather strip getting in the way. Now take a narrow plastic trim removal tool or a flathead screwdriver and gently insert it into the notch. Carefully pry outward with even pressure. The side cover is held in place by a series of plastic clips, so you will hear them pop as they release. Once the side cover is removed, you will now see the 3 screws securing the lower panel. Use your Phillips head screwdriver to remove all 3 screws. Now that all 4 screws are out, the crash pad lower panel is ready to be detached. Grasp the panel and gently begin pulling it outward. The panel is secured with multiple plastic clips on the back, and you will feel them release one by one as you work your way around. Pay special attention to the bottom right corner of the panel near where it meets the side trim. Here, the panel is tucked into the side trim and covered by door frame weather strip. To fully release it, gently pull the weather strip away from the body just enough to create space to unclip the panel. Now lift up the panel to unhook it from the side trim. At times, the retaining clips behind this section of the panel can be extremely tight and resist coming loose. Work slowly and carefully to avoid cracking the panel or breaking the mounting tabs. Once all clips are disengaged, the panel will come loose. But don't pull it all the way out just yet. There's one more important thing to note. The OBD port is mounted on the back of this lower panel, and it's connected to a wiring harness. You don't want to damage the wiring, so you need to disconnect it safely. Use your Phillips head screwdriver to remove the two screws securing the OBD port to the back of the panel. Once the port is detached, you can let it hang freely. With the lower panel out of the way, we now have clear access to the fourth and final screw securing the center panel. Remove all 4 screws using a Phillips head screwdriver. The unit is still being held in place by several plastic retaining clips behind the trim. Gently pull the panel forward from the dashboard until all clips have been released. The center panel is stuck at the top right corner, held in place by a single large clip that simply won't release. I tried pulling with a bit more force, but it felt like it might snap if I kept going. To figure out what's going on, I'm sliding my camera behind the panel to get a better view of the clip. It looks like a standard retaining clip, nothing unusual. However, pushing it from behind is nearly impossible because of the very limited space. With no easy way to release it from the back, I have decided to give the panel a stronger pull, hoping it doesn't break. And it's finally out. You will now see several electrical connectors attached at the back, and also a hose for the cabin air temperature sensor. Disconnect the hose by pulling it out. Also disconnect all the connectors. Press on the release tab and pull out each connector. After removing all the connectors, you can safely remove the center panel. Flip the panel over and you will notice that the engine start-stop button is held in place by 3 small screws. Remove the screws, then take out the start-stop button. Here is a close-up of the engine start-stop button. This is the part number. Now position the new button into the same mounting slot. It should fit snugly and align perfectly with the existing screw holes. Then reinstall the screws. Make sure the button is sitting flush with the front of the panel. Now that the new start-stop button is installed and secure, it's time to reassemble everything. Take your center panel and reconnect all the electrical connectors at the back. Each connector has a unique shape, so they will only fit in their designated slots. Line them up carefully and press each one in firmly until you hear or feel a soft click. That sound confirms the connector is fully seated and locked in. Reattach the hose for the cabin air temperature sensor as well. Once all connectors are securely attached, align the mounting points and plastic clips, then press the unit into the dashboard. The clips will snap into place as you apply pressure. Next, reinstall the 4 screws you removed earlier. Before you reassemble everything, it's a good idea to test the engine start-stop button first. Reconnect the negative terminal of the battery and then press the start-stop button to start the engine. Turn the engine off and on a couple of times to make sure everything is working properly. Once you have confirmed the button is operating correctly, you can proceed to reassemble the panels and trim. starting with the crash pad lower panel. But before that, we need to reinstall the OBD port. Grab the OBD port that's still hanging from its harness and align it with its original mounting points on the backside of the panel. Once it's lined up properly, insert the 2 screws you removed earlier and tighten them with a Phillips head screwdriver. This port is crucial for vehicle diagnostics, so make sure it's secure and correctly positioned. Carefully guide the panel into place, lining up the edges with the surrounding dashboard trim. Begin pressing the panel inward gently but firmly. The internal clips will engage one by one as you move across the panel. Make sure everything is aligned and press along the edges to ensure a tight flush finish. Pay special attention to the bottom right corner where the panel meets the side trim. Make sure it's clipped in securely at that junction as well. Now reinstall the screw at the bottom left corner of the panel. This is the one located just above the footrest. Then reinstall the 3 screws on the side of the dashboard. Now take the side cover, align it with the edges of the dashboard and press it in evenly. Once the panel is secured, press the rubber door seal back over the edge of the panel. Moving on to the long horizontal trim piece that runs across the dashboard. Line up the trim carefully with its original mounting points. Start at one end, usually the driver's side, and begin pressing the trim into place. Work your way across the dash slowly, applying even pressure. You will hear the clips click as they snap into their holders, indicating the trim is securely seated. Once the trim piece is flush and aligned properly, reinstall the single screw that holds it in place at the side of the dashboard. Take the side cover, line it up carefully and press it in until all the clips snap securely into place. Once it's locked in, press the rubber door seal back into its original position, overlapping the edge of the panel. Lastly, return to the center console. Press the upper center console cover back down into place. Press it in firmly along the edges until all the plastic clips snap back into place. Double check that the panel is secure and flush with the surrounding trims. And that's how you replace the engine start-stop button in a 4th generation Kia Sportage. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe to EasyJoin for more car maintenance videos. Thanks for watching.